Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. Welcome to the channel. And this is my review for The Jungle Book, which came out in 1967, is the last movie of the Silver Age of Disney animation, and is the final film that Walt Disney had any input on, because he passed away the prior year, 1966. The movie is based off the Rudyard Kipling story of the same name, The Jungle Book. It's about the man-cub named Mowgli, who is raised by a pack of wolves as an infant, but he is in danger by the tiger Shere Khan, who is returning to the jungles of India, and he hates man. So the panther Bagheera offers to take Mowgli back to the man village where he belongs and where he'll be safe. But that proves to be difficult because Mowgli wants to stay in the jungle, and they also have many encounters with other animals, like a troop of elephants, a group of monkeys led by King Louie the orangutan, and the big, laid-back, chill-as-hell bear, Baloo. We have officially come to the end of another era of Disney animation. And this era was easy to pinpoint the end because, again, it was the last movie that Walt Disney had any involvement with. And all things considered, with the Silver Age, it's been a pretty good era. I thought it started out terribly with Cinderella. I'm sorry, I just really do not like that movie. But then picked up steam with Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, and Maleficent. And then it kind of had a dip in quality with 101 Dalmatians, had a very huge dip in quality with The Sword and the Stone, and with The Jungle Book, it notched up a bit. Out of all the Disney animated movies released in the 60s, The Jungle Book is not only the best, but it's also my favorite. The animation still has that same cheaper look like with 101 Dalmatians and The Sword and the Stone, but there's something about this movie where there's a lot more work put into the animation. The character designs look cleaner. You can't see as many outlines in the characters as you did with 101 Dalmatians and even The Sword and the Stone. And all the backgrounds for the jungle look amazing. It's a beautiful movie to look at, and I think there's a lot that this movie has going for it beyond the animation. It has a bunch of memorable characters, ranging from Baloo, Bagheera, King Louie, Shere Khan, Kaa the snake. I mean, it's mostly the animals that are the memorable characters. Mowgli is fine. I like how he's sort of that rebellious young kid, and he has an innocent quality about him. He's just a kid at the end of the day, but he also can be very ignorant when just not listening to Bagheera's orders. And then when we get to the end of the movie where he tries to prove his bravery against Shere Khan, it's like, you're asking for a death wish, kid, because that tiger's gonna maul you. Not a smart kid, but he is a kid, so what do you expect? I think the three characters that stand out to me in this movie that are my favorite are Baloo, Bagheera, and Shere Khan. Baloo is probably everyone's favorite character in this movie because he's a giant bear, he's laid back, he's really cool, and he just doesn't worry about life. I mean, if you couldn't tell that from the Bare Necessities song, then I think just the way he acts throughout the entire movie can give that away. And I also love Bagheera just because the dynamic is just so funny. It's these two characters that are complete opposites of one another in terms of personality, in terms of tone, but they just make a great pair. And then when you get to the villain Shere Khan, this is pretty much the prototype for what Scar in The Lion King would become. Except Shere Khan's a lot more classy than Scar is. He's very cool, he's very calm, he's very threatening, but he does it with such elegance. When he has a conversation with Kaa the snake, he comes across as very calm, and he knows that Kaa is hiding something, but he tries to be as classy as possible and as calm as possible. But you can also tell that he's very threatening at the same time. It's not until the end of the movie where he finally starts to attack Mowgli where his animal instincts kick in. But if there was any problem I have with Shere Khan, it's that for the first 2/3 of the movie, they talk about this character a lot and how he's a danger to Mowgli. But he doesn't really appear until the third act. And the first time we see Shere Khan, he's about to pounce on Bambi's mom, which, A, I don't know why a deer is in the jungles of India, and B, Bambi's mom has just got the worst. Her animation cells have just been reused throughout the 60s, and she's always put in the most dangerous situations. You think she's had enough with being killed in the movie Bambi. But that's my only gripe with Shere Khan, is that he's not in the movie long enough to where he even feels like a threat. But when he's on, he's very entertaining and very threatening. So I mentioned Bambi's mom earlier in the review. As great as this movie looks in terms of animation, there are a lot of reused animation cells. Whether it's from other movies, like when the wolf cubs pounce on Mowgli and start licking him, that's taken from an animation cell from The Sword in the Stone, where two dogs pounce on Arthur and start licking him. There's an animation cell of Bagheera walking one way, realizing something, and then turns around and starts running in the opposite direction. And that cell is used constantly. It's like in Superman 4, where they use the exact same shot of Superman flying towards the camera again and again and again. Except I think in the Jungle Book, it's a lot more excusable than in Superman 4. And the last problem I had with this movie is more in terms of its story structure. Aside from Shere Khan only being talked about in the first 2/3 of the movie, the rest of the story feels a bit random. I will say this first of all, compared to The Sword in the Stone, this movie actually has a clear ending. We know this has to end with Mowgli returning to the man village, but there are a lot of scenes in this movie where it feels like it's padding out the runtime. I felt like the elephants were rather pointless and don't really serve much outside of a song that I can barely remember for the life of me. The King Louie sequence is a lot of fun, but again, it's mostly there just for an animated musical number, which is a more memorable song. A lot of people have pointed to King Louie as a racist stereotype, and sure, it's well known that they wanted King Louie to sound like Louis Armstrong. And yeah, with all the monkeys in the movie sounding like black people, it's problematic. But for some reason, King Louie and all the monkeys didn't bother me the same way I was bothered by the Native Americans in Peter Pan, or how I was bothered by the circus workers and the crows from Dumbo. Outside of the monkey comparison, there's nothing else that screams overly racist. That's for next week's movie, which we will get to next week. And the surprising thing about all these scenes that feel like they're padded out is that the movie is an hour and 18 minutes. It's relatively short, and it's just weird that they pad out a movie this short. So despite the complaints I have about this movie, and I think they are legit complaints, I actually do like this movie. I like the characters, I think the voice cast is pretty spot on, and each of them do a great job in their roles. I love the score by George Bruns, which for the longest time I always thought that this and the score for the Pirates of the Caribbean ride were done by the Sherman Brothers, but I was wrong. And speaking of the Sherman Brothers, I like most of the songs that they perform in this movie, like Trust in Me or I Want to Be Like You. And ironically, the most famous song in the movie, The Bare Necessities, was not written by them. And I actually never knew that until I recently watched this movie for the review. Go figure. It's a fun movie to end the Silver Age on, so I'd say it's good, but it's not great. Could this have been better? Absolutely, it could have been. And I think for being the last movie that Walt Disney had any involvement with, it's not the strongest movie to go out on. But still, it's a good one nonetheless. And at least The Sword in the Stone wasn't the last Disney movie of the Silver Age. As much as I like this movie though, it's not the version of The Jungle Book that I'm willing to revisit, because Jon Favreau's remake from 2016 is so much better than this movie right here. This movie still has a lot of iconic moments to it as well, but Jon Favreau's version is more intense. The way the story is told is a lot better. The actors in that movie are fantastic. It's more scary, more mature, and it's only one of 2 Disney remakes that I own on Blu-ray. The other is Guy Ritchie's Aladdin. But again, me saying that the Jon Favreau remake is the superior version doesn't mean I dislike this movie at all, because this original animated movie is still a lot of fun. And there you go, that's my review for The Jungle Book. And again, this brings us to the end of the Silver Age. Next week, we're going to be delving into the Bronze Age of Disney animation with their first movie of the 1970s, The Aristocats. Now, at some point during the Bronze Age, or maybe in the post-Renaissance age, I'm going to be putting up 2 reviews in 1 week. I missed a week due to issues in my personal life, so I want to try to catch up. That way this series doesn't accidentally bleed over into the new year. I want to try to review every single Disney movie in at least 1 week in 2021. So I don't know when I'll be posting up 2 reviews in 1 week, but I'll keep you guys updated through social media. But now I want to know what you think about The Jungle Book. If you've seen it, what did you think? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one. Hello everyone, I just want to say thank you all for watching my review for The Jungle Book. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, go check out my Twitch channel, and support me on Patreon. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day and take care of yourselves.